Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, hosts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good day, everyone, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's weekly podcast series, The Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Meckes. If this is your first time tuning in, please click subscribe, like, share, comment, and also don't forget to follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. Today, Secrets of the Universe. A dynamic and multi-award-winning author known for his groundbreaking one-chapter book series, which helps driven entrepreneurs tackle business challenges one chapter at a time. His acclaimed works, including The Promise and The Harsh Truths, have earned him numerous accolades and a dedicated following. A true maverick, WT thrives on taking risks and pushing boundaries, a passion that fuels his writing. He reveals in the freedom of creativity and self-publishing, which keeps him engaged, inspired, and focused. His mission to share valuable insights. Let's welcome to the show, The Seance, W.T. Hamilton. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. Excited to chat with you today about all the things we're going to chat about.
Same here. When you chimed in on Podmatch, I'm like, ooh, I like those book covers, man. Those are exciting. I mean, it gets the science, especially the science fiction buff, kind of interested. Like, ooh, what is that?
Yeah.
That's really cool. Really cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
So how did you start this mission here in your life?
So really, I was in a situation last summer where I kind of achieved a lot of things and started to realize that, I'm already successful. I don't have to keep building and building. And I was making money, was kind of flowing in and everything. So I just took time off just to relax and enjoy, what I already had. And then by September, I started thinking, okay, now what do I do? What can I share? How can I help people? They've done a lot of personal development, a lot of entrepreneur stuff. But what's the key thing behind all of that? When I started reflecting, I was realizing I was manifesting things using like the 3D reality and then merging it with the innerverse, with the spiritual side of creativity and, to connect with like cosmic consciousness.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, now how do I explain that? How do I explain that in a way that is not going to freak people out? But also kind of dive into, because what I realize is that there's layers to reality. Like, how do we dive into that and put that together? So as I started reflecting and kind of diving into some of the layers of reality and the illusions of reality, I came up with this Exertam Actuality book. This and the subtitle is Est Verum, so it's Latin. It means is it real? And so the whole premise of the book is diving into really, like, I feel like we're living in this construct now. Is it like a construct that's real or not real? And so the question is, okay, what is this construct, and how come we can bend certain aspects of reality to be able to create things that other species on the planet can't create?
Yeah. Especially in the world of entrepreneurship. I mean, that's very important.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me bring up that one. There we go. Yeah, that's the book right there. Oof.
Yeah.
So what explain the title?
So the title is a word puzzle. So what I wanted to do is really catch people kind of off guard, and I was trying to make it like it was as intriguing as I could. One of the things that, so it was an experiment. So one of the things that I had done by calling it exotam actuality made it a lot harder to market, because some people look at it and like, what is that? And then
Yeah.
with the old Latin subtitle,
Yeah.
some people are scared of it because they think, oh, this is too deep, without even like really. So if you flip over and you read the back, then you kind of understand what it's about. But really, I mean, the exotam is just it's a mirror word, basically.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then when I try to give clues, I use that cube to try to
Yeah.
kind of clues to what this book is about, right?
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of the Transformers movie,
Yeah.
The Cube.
They have that, and they have that in Star Trek, the Borg
Yeah. Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So, with these many layers within the book, I would
Yeah.
assume that was intentional.
Yeah. So what happened was I was really putting things together and starting to look at the journey, how I was able. So basically, I do personal impossibles. They even writing books and then winning awards. I was never supposed to be able to do that. I was not very good at spelling. And one of my teachers, when I was in grade school, had said, "Oh, this guy's never going to do much with education academically because he's horrible at spelling, and he just doesn't have it." So I was able to push through that and
Hmm.
create this thing that I'm not supposed to be able to create. Started to dive into that and realize, okay, there's phases to even what we learn. So the first phase is really an awakening. We start
Yeah.
to understand all the different dynamics and layers that are going on. And then the second part of the book is clarity. When now here's how you start to use that stuff. And then the third part is actuality. And that's where we kind of get deep into the layers of reality and some of the crazier things that exist that are hard to explain.
Yeah. And it seems like everybody seems to think, where there's a general thought or idea out there that everybody has to start walking and running at the same time. We all have to crawl first through life.
Yeah, yeah,
That's our first stage. But not
yeah,
all of us can start walking at the same time. It's
yeah,
it's it's different layers, it's different phases.
yeah.
I mean, throughout grade school, I was always, I was a slow learner, slow learning
Mhm.
disability. And it took a while, but eventually, heck, next thing you
Yeah,
know, I mean, look at some of the great scientists and geniuses in the world. They've always had this weird glitch, so to speak. Good at
yeah,
one thing, but a genius in another.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
And in the book, I explain so that there's layers to learning and knowledge, and part of it is when you start to learn things, you open up to new experiences. You create those synaptic connections, and those synaptic connections, they just open up a world of knowledge that you were blind to. It was always there, but you were blind to. You couldn't access it. So I liken it to a video game where you have to finish this first level, and then once you
yeah.
finish that level, you open up to a whole new level with all these extra adventures and excitement. And
Oof,
then you have to master that level before you can move to the level above that.
yeah. Huh. So, what is this cosmic connection that you speak about within the book?
So what happened is when I was writing this book, the actuality part, the third section, I started diving into. So the first two sections are really how I was able to manifest all of these things that I was able to do. But the third section was when I started diving into the layers of reality and spirituality, and how spirituality works with intentional thought and with just being
Mhm.
able to create things. And so this cosmic connection is really that the creative mind is connected to something. Like you get ideas, they come to you, but they come to many other people as well. And
Yeah,
it depends on what you do with that idea, how much action you take, how long you're committed to it. There's a few people that will develop that idea into a tangible reality. And there's many people that said, "Oh man, I had that idea too. I should have followed through on it." So where do those ideas come from? And then I look at the book, and when you're thinking and you're speaking to yourself, like where does that voice come from?
Hmm.
And I look at, okay, when you're looking forward, you're meditating, or you got your eyes closed and you're looking forward, or you're looking backward, or you're just analyzing things. Like, what eyes are those? Those aren't your 3D eyes. So where
Yeah.
are those eyes coming from? How are you seeing that stuff? So all that is what I call that cosmic connection to something bigger than ourselves, that maybe isn't always explained or always acknowledged, but it's always been there from birth. So in the second book, I really dive into how that spiritual connection kind of brought us to where we are now from where we began.
Yeah. And what people don't realize too is like you just mentioned, that there's this collective consciousness
Yeah,
that we're tapped into. Look at some of the greatest inventions in the world.
yeah,
That Alexander Graham Bell wasn't the only one that came up with the idea.
yeah,
Nikola Tesla wasn't the only one that had those ideas. What the heck? There was a couple other ones. The television, the radio.
yeah,
It was just the first person that got to the patent. It's what that next person was able to do before you.
exactly. Exactly. I even talk about in the book, I don't use Steve Jobs' name, but I
Hmm.
talk about how, he was seeing Star Trek, and he's seeing these like devices, and they were able to talk to these devices and have
Yeah,
these video screens. None of that technology existed yet. And then when BlackBerry came out, BlackBerry really ignited his mind to say, okay, now technology is starting to pick up. I can I can develop some of these crazy things that I wanted to develop before, but I had no way of doing it. So I kind of go through that as part of like what you're saying, where sometimes an idea comes along and then you can build off of that idea, but the first person has to develop that idea into a tangible reality, and then it sparks all these new creative solutions and resources.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Jump starting it and stuff, and
yeah,
and not only it doesn't only have to be an original idea. Somebody else
exactly.
has an idea, and they kind of you kind of get a whiff of it, so to speak, and you're like, oh man, I got another idea that I can build on that, and then
Yeah,
kind of just like collaborations and stuff like that. It's
yeah. So
yeah.
in the book, I talk about we all live in our own reality bubble. So what's real for me is only real for me from my
Hmm.
perspective. But we have to work in a shared reality for our dreams and goals to develop. And so that's kind of one of the things we talk about is when the first idea comes along, that might be all you needed to spark you to realize, okay, now I can take it to a different perspective, a different angle, and really add value to it in a different way that doesn't exist right now.
Yeah. That's another challenge too, which is gonna segue into the next question. It's hard to get people, especially people that need to be able to see your vision. Getting
Yeah.
them to see your vision clearly, but trying
Mhm.
to get that point across and how to do it. Do you see those challenges?
Yeah. So what I what I look at is all the things that I've been through has gotten me to the perspective that I am right now, and to be able to have the insight I have right now. Some of those people haven't gone this far on the journey. So I
Mhm.
try to meet them where they're at. So try to figure out where they're at in their journey, and then introduce some of these things. But some of the things they won't be able to understand yet because they haven't made that connection. They haven't developed their ideas or thought process far enough yet.
Yeah.
They'll get there, but they might not be there right now. So I allow people, if they say, "Oh, this is crazy. What you're talking about is," it's like, yeah, I would think it was crazy 5 years ago too.
Right?
So like I understand. I have no problem with that. But if you stick with it and kind of start to dive into, I try to explain it to like full time, right? So instead of you having to go through 5 years of the journey, I'm going to put all the stuff in the book, and hopefully you can connect with some of it. Some of
Mhm.
it you might not get right now, but maybe a year later you're going to read the book again and be like, wow, like I've had that. I've read books about mindset and about thinking, and I've taken like 30% of it and be able to use it.
Yeah.
And then as I got more successful, I went back in the book, and then I found like new stuff. Like, how did I not see this before? It was always there in the book, but I couldn't
Yeah.
understand it before.
Like selective reading.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
What seems to be some of the most common challenges that entrepreneurs face now in this new business world?
So I think a big challenge right now is everybody wants things to happen instantly,
Mm,
and they want to be really good at it the very first time they try. And that doesn't work for anything in life. It never has up until this point. So there's no reason to think that all of a sudden things are shifting and you're going to be really good at something you've never done before without any real experience just because maybe you read some books or you even had some coaching. You still have to go through some of the bumps and bruises. And that I tell people that if you're willing to accept the reality of the challenge of what you want to do and let go of the fantasy of it, you'll be able to do it. But you have to accept there's going to be bumps and bruises. There's going to be learning. We're going to help you to kind of curb that so you don't have to go through all the struggle. But there's no way to avoid all of it because you're not perfect. And so because you're not perfect, you're learning how to become better at what you're doing, and every day you're trying to be better at it. But I think it's that instant thing because everything else comes instantly. You buy something that you can access it instantly. Even movies,
mm.
we used to have to stand in line to try to get a ticket for a movie. Now you can book your movie like a plane ticket, right? You
Yeah,
book your seat, pick your seat, everything. So it's, because things are so easy, these creative things and these daring things you want to do, you think you're supposed to be easy too. And it's an illusion. And it's an illusion that I think people brainwash themselves with. And then they face all kinds of disappointment because things are just not as easy as it's advertised on TV.
that's got to be one of the most important key points that you've mentioned thus far since we've been talking is people have to wake up to that fact is I mean, I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
With today's technology, everything is instant. I order from the store, DoorDash, blah blah blah. You want this, boom, boom, boom. It's instant.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're depending too much on our technology that we are now not thinking realistically when it comes to a business venture that we're expected to launch immediately. We gotta
Yeah.
we gotta crawl before we walk and run.
Yeah. Exactly. And the bigger your idea and the more creative it is, you have to realize that the market has to catch up to your idea.
Mm, yeah.
The market might not be ready for your idea right now. So if you say you launch it today, but the market's not going to be ready for 6 months, you might be disappointed because you're running. You're running before when you should walk, crawl, and maybe even just relax. And then something that would happen later, you've already quit. And then somebody else comes along with that same thing and they become successful, and then you feel like, why that didn't work out for me? So,
Mm,
well, how fast were you moving? Were you moving faster than the market? Do you understand where the market is and how you're going to try to introduce that idea to the market?
yeah.
People don't want to do that because they don't want to hear that, hey, it's going to take a little longer than you had planned.
Hmm.
You might have to stretch out your budget
Yeah.
for a little bit more than what you planned.
Especially with today's digital world, the internet, the algorithms,
Yeah,
it takes time to build a website, to build the algorithms, to get all that SEO stuff in the system in order and that'll take a while. You could put it in
yeah,
today, but it ain't going to be working tomorrow.
yeah, yeah. And they call it the unsexy side of business.
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that's the stuff that nobody likes to do because nobody you can't market it. Oh, you know what? Today I spent all kinds of time building my SEO. Nobody really cares.
Yep. And that's the thing. I was like, being in podcasting and everything's digital, with whatever I
Yeah,
do. And, I'm always working on SEO stuff. Always.
yeah,
It's continuous. It's part of
yeah,
it's the blood of the business, so to speak.
yeah.
So let me bring up a picture of the other book along with this one, Infinite
Mm,
Actuality.
yeah,
Explain a little bit about that. That's a really cool cover. Jeez, man, who did the
yeah.
artwork?
So I actually have a guy on Fiverr that I
Yeah.
use for both projects
Wow.
that he understood what I was going for. He came up with the stuff. I gave him like the concept, but he came up with the actual
Yeah.
artwork. so I can't take any credit for the artwork. But the infinite actuality is really about, so actuality is another word for reality. So it's
Hmm.
the infinite possibilities, and what it looks at is when we first started out as a civilization, when we were like hunter gatherers, reality had no context and it had no predetermined narrative. So anything that we seen, we accepted as real, and
Yeah.
there was nobody to tell us that, hey, what you're seeing is not really, you're misunderstanding what you see.
Mm.
So I really go from there. What was it like to be a hunter gatherer? And I use the interverse as to go back in time, use your imagination, and I bring the reader back in time to being that hunter gatherer. And okay, what are the things you're seeing? Your language is primitive. You don't have the ability to write things down. How are you going to explain when you've seen something that you've never seen before? Like imagine seeing a color you've never seen before, even in this reality right now. How
Yeah.
would you explain that if there's no word for that color? There's no way to describe that. So that's really what we're talking about, is all these phenomenons. Like we see these pyramids, we see all these different monoliths. Why did they create those? Why are they there? Why do they exist? And what was it like to discover that, or to create it, or to see what they seen that led them to put that together? So that's what that book is about. It goes a little bit off into a whole nother realm of digging through the layers of reality, and also looking at how did we get the context, and
Yeah.
at what point did we say, okay, that's not real, this is real? What things did we decide are real and what are not real? So I explain in the book how that kind of came about, and the reason why that it came about, and why we've been holding on to that the curated narrative for so long. But because we're in this paradigm shift now, where people are becoming awakened to a bigger, more deeper, richer reality,
Mm.
they're starting to see some of the things that we held on to don't fit anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Without giving too much detail, can you give us maybe one little tidbit of a, a point that you touch on, a metaphysical point that you touch on in the book, without giving too much detail away? A hook. Give us a hook.
A hook for the infinite actuality. The second
Either
one.
one of them. Either one of them.
Yeah. So the first book is really, it's the premise of the book is, are we living in a intelligently designed construct, and is it a matrix that's real, and are we living as the first edition, the first revision, or the original, or are we living in a revision? And if we're not, that's fine, but how come we can bend the rules, and we can create skyscrapers from our imagination, and no
Mm.
other species on the planet can do that? and and so we can manifest all these dreams, these ideas, these goals that, even primates that are very similar to us don't have that ability. So it's like, how come we're able to do that? We're able to develop language, complex thought, science, mathematics. Where did that come from? So we
Yeah.
dive deep into those layers, and it gets pretty exciting, pretty fun. You start
Yeah.
to peel those layers back.
Yeah. It's kind of like the theory of, or the principle of the holographic universe.
Yeah,
Are we living in a simulation or holographic universe? And
yeah,
who is truly in control? I mean, we obviously have some control,
yeah,
but it's like where's that line?
yeah. And the thing that I talk about is, okay, whether we are or not, here's the rules that we can bend, and we can manipulate reality to be able to. I can become an award-winning author, even though I'm not supposed to. I'm still not great at spelling,
Yeah.
but so how am I able to achieve my personal impossibles if we're not able to bend some of these rules? And then why is it designed that we're able to create and be creative and use this this cosmic conscious connection to create a reality. Like we just decide, okay, this is how we want to live. This is the kind of things we want to experience. And we start to systematically put things into place to be able to experience those things.
Oh,
And
man.
it's,
Yeah.
so it gets pretty deep. It gets pretty deep. But it was a fun thing to write.
Yeah,
And
man,
it
I
was
bet.
very different from my other books.
Now, before I go a little further, even though it's scrolling at the bottom, for those who are watching, but for those who are listening, everybody know how they can find you, where they can reach you, and where they can find your book.
Yeah, and the mindsetforsuccesstraining.com is my website, and I have all kinds of freebies on there, and also links to my author page for Instagram or for Amazon. And then I'm pretty active on Instagram as well at w.t.hamilton.
Cool. Can you elaborate on the importance of networking and for entrepreneurs in today's competitive business environment?
Yeah, networking is key because, like I said, we all live in like our own reality bubble, but we have to create and build success through connections, through shared reality, through meeting people. And sometimes, you'll meet someone, and the only connection you need from that is that they're going to introduce you to somebody else.
Hmm.
So it's really important that the easiest way to market yourself is connecting with people, whether you're going on podcasts, whether you're physically meeting people at an event, is to say hi and ask the person, what they do, or why they're here. If it's a live event, why are you here? What kind of things do you do? And just kind of find a rapport, and you'll find the right vibe. You'll connect with people that are like-minded. You just kind of attract them. They'll feel your energy, and you'll feel their energy. It's easy to find them and navigate. But without that, you're just sitting behind your computer hoping that people are going to find you.
Yeah, hiding under the rock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's amazing with networking. I used to do this all the time. Being in the studio most of the time, it's hard to get out. It's
Yeah.
you're just it's addicting being behind a computer and building media and stuff like that. You forget that there's something out there. But every now and then, some of my friends have to remind me, "Hey, dude, come on down here. Come on down, have some fun. I don't know, chill out. Take
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It kind of reminds me as it's supposed to happen. So I go out, I'll meet some people, never met them before, and next thing you know, you get in a conversation, and they're podcasters too,
Yeah.
or they have their own podcast, or they're in a business that works with podcasts, or within the business. Like, what?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you start talking about collaboration, and then when stuff like that happens, I tell people all the time, do it anyway. Just go out and just talk.
Yeah.
Hand your card out, hand this out, and introduce your business and whatever. Because you never know. That right person ends up seeing your information and boom, opens up a huge door.
Yeah. It's so true. And most of the time, so if you'll see me at an event and I'm going around, I'm just talking to anybody,
Hmm.
but I don't want to be there. So
Right?
I have to, I have to convince myself to go. And there's always, it's usually like a half an hour before it's time. I got to
Yeah.
kind of pep talk myself. You need to go. But every time I go, I have a great time. But almost
Yeah.
every time I'm like, I really don't feel like going. I could just do this other thing instead. But once I push myself, I get in front of people. I always meet at least one person that I talk to after. Maybe it's online later on, but there's always one person that I make a connection with. So
Yeah.
for me, even if you just find that one person, it's worth your while.
Yeah. I have that, lack of a better word, a social phobia, so to speak. It's like I hate crowds. I hate it. Just there's something about that. But it's probably just
Yeah.
the energy. Too
Uh-huh.
much energy all at one time.
Yeah.
And just being and it's not really the public speaking. I could do that. I've done that. Yeah, you
Yeah.
get nervous at first because you don't know. what your audience is going to be like. So,
Yeah.
but then once I'm on there, once you're on stage and you're talking, and it just the audience fades away.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
And yeah, and then it's not so bad. So, yeah.
Mhm. But yeah, it's a different dynamic when you're just having conversation and you have to keep thinking. But I liken it to like what we're doing here. It's an interview, right? Conversation
Mhm.
is you're asking questions, you're answering questions. And so if you approach it that way, it's a lot easier to get to know people, and it kind of takes some of that nervousness away. It's just
Yeah,
it's nervous when you first go up to someone you don't know and try to
yeah,
break the
yeah.
ice. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when people are interested in your work, and then they kind of like confront you, and they're like, "Hey, tell me more about this," or
Mhm.
they have a quick conversation. It's like, yeah, too many people that want to ask questions all at one time. It's like, okay, one at a time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Let's see. Not that I ran out of questions, but so there. What seems to be, I mean, there's a lot of complexities within entrepreneurship, somebody starting a business and starting this and stuff. What seems to be the most common question that you get from people?
So I think where people usually start, they start with a need, and the need is that they want to make more money,
Mm,
but they don't necessarily know what it is they want to do. So I always tell them, like, you can do something trendy, and you maybe it'll take off, and you'll make a bunch of money for the longevity of that trend, whether it's a year, 2 years, or 6 months. But think about something that you want to do that you're more passionate about, that you would do anyways. And so then I look at, what are your talents? What are your natural talents? Because that's kind of your foundation.
yeah.
If you're trying to jump into something you have no natural talents in, it's just going to be struggle after struggle after struggle. If you're able to take your natural talents and then start to build a business from that, and the idea that you want to do, and start to look at what angle. So if you're the person who likes to be in front of people, you're going to be the spokesman for your business.
Mm,
If your business is a product and you don't want to sell it, you can bring in a salesperson to actually sell the product for you. But if your natural talents is the numbers and understanding the cost structure and all that, so that's where you got to start. It's like, what are you good at? Because that's the easy part. And then what skills can you add? And then what pieces can you just farm out and hire people to do? But it's really, people start with wanting to make more money, and then I try to get them to understand, like we were talking about before, it's not instant. There's going to be bumps and bruises. Now let's look at a plan of how you want to build that business, and what you bring to the table already, and what we can utilize and fast track your skills, fast track your idea.
yeah. Now, aside from the book, do you also consult or coach
Yeah.
individuals in the work?
Yeah. So what I do outside of writing is I am a business consultant, and I work with a couple of big companies, and I help consult. I help to coach their managers and stuff. And then I do stuff on the side for like entrepreneurs and
Mm,
people that want to develop their idea into a tangible product or service. So we kind of, everything's individualized, it's customized to what they're trying to do, and like I said, their skill level. So it just depends on what you're already bringing to the table, and then how fast you want to move, and how how dedicated are you to it, or how much time can you put aside? Because really, I mean, it's an investment in time, it's an investment in energy, and it's an investment in money. But your time and your energy, and also your your mental health, those are the things that you got to really decide before money, how much of that you can put in. And the more of that you can put in, the more time, the more energy that you can put into it, is the faster you can grow it. And if
yeah.
you don't have a lot of time, that's fine, but just understand that this is the pace. So what
Mm,
is the pace of growth?
yeah. Something just came to mind, and it was like, you got to ask this.
Mhm.
'Cause I've faced it a couple times, and I'm sure I'm sure you've probably faced it, and a lot of other people have faced it, is the fear of success.
Yeah. So what I find is, when we're talking about like manifesting or building success, everybody, they sell easy. Oh, it's going to be easy. You just do this. I got the keys to success. We'll do this. But what really happens is as soon as you jump into it, the first thing that you manifest is fear and an abundance of doubt. And when you hit those first hurdles, that's the thing you got to master. You got to overcome that fear and the doubt. The fear of success is really, am I really able to do this? Is somebody going to find out that I'm a fraud? That I don't really know what I'm doing. And it's because people want to be perfect. But the reality is nobody knows exactly what they're doing. You're doing your educated guess. You're doing an investment, and you're gambling, but in a an intentional way of like you've done your research, but you're not 100% sure the market's going to want what you're doing. You're not 100% sure what you're doing is going to resonate with thousands of people, or if it's only going to resonate with 20 people. So by pretending that you're something that you're not, that just adds to your fear, and it adds to your doubt. So I always say, like, forget about perfect, just be you.
Mm-hmm.
Be you, and be messy if you're messy, sloppy if you're sloppy, whatever it is. Be you, but then try to fine tune and be a better version of you as you grow and as you build. But if you show up pretending you're perfect, the first time you make a mistake, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, look at you! You don't know what you're doing."
Yeah.
So that's why I tell people, like, I own my flaw. My flaw is I'm not great at spelling. Sometimes I'll put marketing out there, I'll proofread it, I'll check it over, and there'll be a mistake that I didn't see, and I put it out there. And when people say, "Oh, you spelled that wrong," I say, "Yeah, I'm not that great at spelling." Yeah,
Yeah. And then sometimes too, it's like and you got to laugh at it. You got
yeah,
to put humor where, just laugh at it. And then it doesn't become what it was. It
yeah.
changes the energy of it. Yeah. Again, before we wrap up the show, where can people find you, reach out to you, and any other key points?
Yeah, so mindsetforsuccesstraining.com is the website, and all my books are on Amazon. I got about 17, 18 books on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Some of them are law of attraction books.
That's
Some
a
of them
lot
are
of books for somebody to own that spell well. Heck
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and then Instagram is a great way. I respond to most DMs, so you can always ask questions, and I'll answer you for free. And then if you want to go deeper, then there's a fee. But I try to do a lot of stuff for free if I can.
Yeah. Yeah. And also I'll have that information in the show notes too for our audio podcasts, and also for the video as well, so people can find all that information in the show notes. So before we wrap up, what would you like to offer our audience today as a takeaway?
Really, because we're living in a layered reality, and you have to understand that any idea that you have, it's possible. You can actually make it tangible, but you got to understand that you have to add some inspired action into it,
Mm,
and then really just just believe that, this idea found you for a reason, and you should do something with it. And
yeah.
even if it's just to explore it, you should do something with it. Put a little bit of energy into that idea and see where it takes you.
Heck yeah. And don't doubt yourself. And that seems like the biggest killing machine when it comes to success is self-doubt. I can't
Yeah,
do that. I can't do this or that. I mean, like,
yeah,
well, if you keep telling yourself that, you ain't gonna get anywhere.
yeah. And the doubt, everybody has it, but they don't. A lot of the people that progress, they don't hold on to it.
Hmm.
So they have it, and then they look at, okay, what are the solutions for me to be able to feel more confident in what I'm doing, and you
Yeah.
just start to do those things.
Mm, heck yeah.
Yeah,
Oof. WT, it's been a
yeah,
pleasure having you on the show. If you could just wait after we stop the show, just you can hold on just a moment for a quick tidbit after recording. But other than that, thank you very much for joining us today.
yeah. Thanks,
And
Paul. I really enjoyed it too.
let me know when the next book comes out.
I
Definitely.
will. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I had a great
How
time.
many books thus far?
So I think there's around 23. So it's because I have this one chapter book series where each book is only one chapter long. So I
Yeah.
have a bunch of those, and then I wrote some books with my mom, and then these two latest books are kind of I'm kind of went off into a different genre
Yeah.
and just seeing what I can do with that.
Wow. Oof.
Mhm.
Pretty soon you put them all together in an anthology. That way you can giant book.
Yeah,
the book. The book of
yeah,
secrets.
yeah,
Right on.
yeah, yeah.
Oof. WT, blessings, my friend.
Yeah, thank you,
Blessings.
thank you, and a
Thank you very much.
great time.
You are
Thanks.
very welcome. Very welcome. Thank you, everybody, for watching The Seance on Conscious Radio Network. We will see you next time.